Hello and welcome to Connect. I'm your host, Randy Pshebylo. Today we're on location at TCU Place talking about destination downtown in Saskatoon. We have two guests from Vancouver, Professor Larry Beasley, who was the former chief planner for the City of Vancouver, and Kathy Grant, involved with property development, marketing, branding, and communications. As always, we'd like to connect with you.
Tweet us at connect_YXZ. Follow us on Facebook to watch new and past interviews, or email connectyxz@gmail.com with any future guest or topic suggestions.
Urban planning is a hot topic in Saskatoon, and as we move forward with Destination Saskatoon in terms of the downtown, we've invited Professor Larry Beasley from Vancouver, who's here leading us in our episode to try and revitalize and revision some of the work that's happening here. Professor, thank you for making some time for us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit, Larry, about yourself and how you came to be where you're at today.
Well, for many years I was the chief planner of Vancouver during the time when we really did a major transformation. And what was relevant to Saskatoon, I think, is that we transformed our inner city, our downtown, our inner city historic neighborhoods into a completely new place. It gave us a completely new image as a city. And we did it through amazing collaborations between the public and private sector. Since I retired from government in 2006, I've been out working in cities all around the world. I founded the planning service in Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates. I've worked on many capitals. I did a design for the
Dallas.
Expansion of Moscow. I've founded an urban design studio in Dallas. I've worked a lot up in the Nordic countries and in Australia. So I've been around seeing cities, and I think what's relevant to Saskatoon about that is I've seen a lot of mid-sized cities, which I have a particular fascination with because I think that's where very interesting things are happening around the world. And then from that Nordic work, cities more to the north, and finding out that the Nordic cities look to Canadian North cities in many respects for ideas and things to do and innovations. And so with all of that, I was approached by the mayor, Mayor Clark, a few months ago, and he said, well, you know, we want to grow our downtown. We want to have a sitting population downtown in the future. We want the vibrancy. We want the energy. We want the economic development. And can you help us? And not so much help us on what we might do, because we're pretty clear on that. We have good plans, but on how to do it, how to start things happening, how to kickstart things. Average citizens can see plans, and that's all fine, they're pictures. But what they want is to see change happening. They want some rental housing. They want some new restaurants and shops. They want some new facilities. And the new art gallery is such a vivid illustration. And so I had been to Saskatoon before. I'm an immigrant to Canada, but my Canadian family is based in Saskatchewan. And I thought that combination, a fascinating thing to do in a part of the world that I have deep affection for, I just couldn't pass it up.
I think as a chief planner for one of, on the international scene, if you will, I mean, Vancouver's recognized that way, and you were there at that crucial period of that transition. What do you see happening in Saskatoon, if I could just ask bluntly, as an outsider and as an expert in what you do, what are those nuggets that you see in our city already?
Because you are a little bit isolated from the big cities of the country, you have something very special here. On every front of modern urban life, you have developed your version of it. You have a quite attractive downtown. You have a foodie scene. You have some interesting new developments. You're trying out multiple development, right? Not just single family development. You have some thoughtfulness of design. You have a wonderful resource of heritage buildings. And you have an ambience, which is absolutely the foundational needs to entice people to come back and live in your city. You're suffering from what every Canadian city suffered from coming out of the war to this time, which is increasingly consumers went out to the suburbs. And by the way, it's a perfectly lovable life out in the suburbs. But what it left you, like most Canadian cities, was not with that urban side for your community, so that people in different parts of their life could choose a suburban life at one point, an urban life at another point. When they're young, they would like to be in the hip urban scene. When they're older, they'd like to get back into it. Maybe in the middle, they would have their homes in the suburbs. But you didn't have that anymore, and you don't have that. But because you have all of these foundational elements that will draw those consumers ultimately, if you play your cards right, if you exploit what you have and then add some new dimensions to it, I am absolutely confident that you will draw a population who wishes to live here. And as they live here, they create amazing economic development potential, they create amazing cultural potential, they bring your city to life, which is good for the whole city. So that's what you're working with. What you need are some new tools. You need some new ways of doing things, and I brought a whole cadre of experts to work with the local people the last few days to show you what kind of tools are being used by other people in other cities and other places. You need some new ways to collaborate together. Real smart cities, whether they're Canadian or around the world, are tapping collaborations of people working together in ways that just did not happen 20 years ago, where city officials and developers and nonprofit community representatives join forces to do things, and they can do way much. We've learned they can do so much more. So you need more mechanisms for that, and you need some cultural development, you might say, for that. And you need some pilots to show people, show the average person what could be done. You do have a few pilots, like your new development around the museum. And you need some of the other things that are the makings of a vibrant city and a vibrant city center.
So nothing is an island, and I appreciate everything that you're bringing to the conference, because it is hard work to sit down and dig deep and find what we need to float to the surface, if you will. When we talk about transportation, this spring, City Council with the bus rapid transit, the bike lanes, but there's also the library and the talk of a downtown event center, convention center. Are those major icons and projects something that we build around, or do we incorporate that into the smaller fabric of the downtown?
The elements that you've described are the essential, some of the essential elements as a city moves from being a very small city to being what I would call a medium-sized city. When you move from what you would call be a town to becoming a city, to have a form of rapid transit is essential. Well, you've been much smarter, I will tell you, than most cities your size in not saying, well, we're moving right to rapid transit. Instead, you're going the bus rapid transit approach first, and through that you'll build ridership and interest, and developers will start to develop housing and other things around it, shopping, and then that'll build enough energy as you grow bigger as a city that you can then make that into light rapid transit, heavy rapid transit, and finally the ultimate system maybe 100 years from now. And you can expand it and extend it as you go along. So it's a very smart approach. I a couple of years ago, wrote a book about this, Ecodesign for Cities and Suburbs, where from examples all over the world, we illustrated that when you move in with BRT first, you set the pace for shaping the city to be a walkable, transit-oriented kind of city, even though right now you'd say most of people are in their cars. No, this is an investment in 50 years from now, when many people won't want to be in their cars, because if you see fully developed, integrated cities, many people are choosing not even to have cars. Car ownership in downtown Vancouver is going down, plummeting. Instead, people are joining car co-ops and things like that, occasionally needing a car. But for day-to-day, they're looking at alternatives. That's one thing. The new institutions, the library, the arena, yes, they're essential institutions. They are institutions, though, that need to be done in a certain way so that they merge into the fabric of your city. And you use them as a catalyst for the other things that you want. So you don't just build a library where people go in and check out books and leave. You build a community facility. You build a place where children want to play and where gaming happens. And you build all the modern things that people want. And that becomes an energy. It becomes a magnet then. And then a developer will say, well, geez, I'm going to build some housing next door for families with kids because that's where they want to go. Or, and you know, we saw ping pong, I think it was, in your museum. And we were all saying, this is very smart because that's starting to make it a multi-purpose place. So as you build your arena, as you build your library, as you build a new theater, as you build a convention center, these are all essential elements. Well, make them multi-use, put them in a strategy that is going with the rest of the development of your city. We've been talking a lot with everyone in the last few days about building as quickly as possible a base of rentable housing that people rent, just so very quickly people will start to live there, and then people will want to invest, people want to stay, and then what happens is companies go, oh, there's where my employees are. There's where my smart, high-tech kids are. They will then want to come with you. So it's that wonderful organic process. Yes, you have most of the right elements in play. You have, though, a strategic choice to make, and that is, are you going to choreograph all of this? Curate is the word we used in the last few days, into something much bigger for your city, or are you going to accept just how it hits the ground? I got the impression from the people that I've been dealing with from your city over the last few days that you're going to choreograph it. You're going to curate it. You're going to sculpt it. You're going to artfully create an urban lifestyle, not just facilities.
Professor Beasley, you're the right person for the job, and I know that the excitement around your announcement coming here was magnetizing, I would say, on a lot of our business leaders and civic leaders here. And good luck with your book with, I think it's called Vancouverism?
Vancouverism is my new book. I'm glad you raised it because my publisher says if I talk to more than 2 people, I have to raise it.
Okay.
It's coming out on May 1st.
We'll watch for it. Thank you so much for making time for us today.
Thanks for having me.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.